My name is Gary, and today we're going to do a quick YouTube video on how to clean one of our mailboxes. I've got my assistant Tori here behind the camera. She's working with me real diligently. But what we have here is we have a cast aluminum mailbox, mailbox that was been out in the field for about a year, that has got some marks, a little bit of fading to it, and so forth. And the reason I'm doing this video today is occasionally we get phone calls here at the customer service that say, hey, my mailbox, I bought it back in 2018, 2019, and it just doesn't look as sharp, doesn't look as bright as it used to look. What can I do about it? Well, one of the good things about a cast aluminum mailbox is that there is lots of things you can do about it. First off, we can clean it, which is what we're going to do here today. You can also repaint it. Being of the heavy durable construction that it is, the mailbox basically is indestructible, almost indestructible, but it can be refurbished rather easily. So one of the things we're going to start with today is just cleaning the mailbox. And as you see, a mailbox, if you take a second and you think about where it is, it sits out on the street, it sits out on the road. If you parked your automobile on that curb where that mailbox sits, and you let it sit there for a year, you let it sit there for 2 years or 3 years, it doesn't matter. Just imagine what that paint on that automobile is going to look like if you don't wash that car. So we recommend that you at least give your mailbox a good scrubbing, a good wash, at least once or twice a year. If you're in an environment that is a little bit harsher, and we'll talk about that in a moment, you might want to give your mailbox a washing, every few weeks, every month, every time you wash the car. If you're actually washing the car in the driveway, go out there, spray that mailbox down, get that dirt, that grime, some of the other chemicals that lay on the mailbox and begin to deteriorate the mailbox finishes. So you think about what happens to a mailbox. The mailbox has, just by the environment and where it is, it has pollen, debris, dirt that land on the mailbox, lay in the crevices, lay in the little areas. They have ponding areas in here where the address plaque is, ponding areas by the flag, little nooks and crannies and crevices in the decorative elements. And if you have a very decorative mailbox, that's exactly where those parts and pieces are going to reside. So that's the pollen. Then you also have the mailbox that is next to the road, and that's where you're going to pick up all the dirt and debris, the roadside debris, anything that's going to be kicked up from traffic, etc., etc. The third and probably the worst situation is kind of what we're seeing here on this mailbox, is the irrigation system. Here we see lots of sediment that's been deposited on the mailbox. A lot of times what will happen is they'll have mailboxes that are in a yard or in a community where they utilize reclaimed water. Now, reclaimed water has a lot of benefits, but it also has a lot of downsides to it. Reclaimed water, in order to use reclaimed water, which is really just a brackish water, it's not a potable water, but it's a very brackish, and that's some of the sediments you see here. Also, in reclaimed water, they use nitrogen in order to make it usable for reclaim. They use phosphorus. Nitrogen and phosphorus are both fertilizers. So if you're using reclaimed water near your products, near your mailbox, you're actually applying a fertilizer. While you're fertilizing the yard, you're actually applying a fertilizer to the surface of the mailbox. As we all know, fertilizers are rather aggressive and a lot of times begin to deteriorate the mailbox. Probably the worst thing that can happen with using reclaimed water is the salinity. Reclaimed water has a very, very high salinity rate, very high salt content. So when you're spraying that nitrogen and that phosphorus, you're also spraying a very, very high percentage of salt content onto the product as well. So what's happening is it's almost creating a situation where a coastal environment, if you will. You're applying salts to the mailbox. Now, could you imagine if your car was sitting here right next to the mailbox, and your mailbox, both are being applied this bath of salt constantly or every day when that sprinkler system kicks on at daybreak, or that sprinkler system kicks on at nightfall. You're applying a salt coating to the mailbox body every day, every single day of the year. That's why it's highly recommended that you give your mailbox a good wash at least once or twice a year. If you're in a situation where you're using reclaimed or non-potable water, I highly recommend that you wash your mailbox even more than once or twice a year. We're just going to scrub this thing down with a Brillo pad and some water as well. So we're going to do a couple steps. We're going to scrub it down, and basically we're going to just clean a mailbox surface. You want to get in there and you want to scrub the area where those deposits. So if there's any nooks and crannies, that's really where you want to spend your time at, and scrub that mailbox down. Trying to loosen up those deposits, those mineral deposits. Rinse that off real quick. And you can see that we've removed all of that white deposits just by, now the coating is still intact, but we've removed all of the white salt deposits, we've removed all of the fertilizer deposits. Baked on powder coating is 100% still intact. Got to get the soap out of the nooks and crannies. But that product looking good as new again. The mailbox is dried off. We scrubbed it down with earlier with the Brillo pad, the Brillo SOS. We got rid of the calcium and the salt deposits and any nitrogen or phosphorus that was applied from the environment or from the sprinkler system. So as I mentioned to you earlier, that if you have a situation where there's a chip or there's a blemish or something on the mailbox, what I would recommend is a good quality Rust-Oleum. This is a black textured paint, comes in a Rust-Oleum can. I got this at Lowe's. I'm sure they have it at Home Depot or any small hardware store, but this is a Rust-Oleum. It's actually a textured paint.